All right, you guys, thank you for joining me today on RVing Midlife. Today we're going to talk about KOAs and Thousand Trails. I did a video, well, live, where I did a walkthrough of the KOA we're currently at. And I've stayed at a couple KOAs myself, but I've also stayed at a couple thousand trails. And so a lot of times I realize when people call, they may not understand the difference between the places. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about KOAs and what consists of that and what you get with that. And then a little bit about Thousand Trails, just so you can get a clear understanding, especially if you're a new RVer and you're looking into getting different memberships, because there's so many of them out there and you might be wondering which one should I invest my money in. So that is what we're going to talk about today, those two options that you have. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the Thousand Trails. And how I got to know Thousand Trails was when we purchased our first RV, it was considered free with our purchase, right? And I'm sure somehow they finagled the price in there and we paid for it, but they told us it was a complimentary membership. And so the price of it is significant. It's significant. It could be anywhere from like $4,000 to $6,000 depending on packages that you get, and that was at the time when we got it. And that's for a package. Like, they have different package deals, right? So you can do monthly payments, or you could pay all of it up front one time and be done with it for the year. Now, one of the things you're probably wondering is, what do you get for that kind of money, right? Well, what you're getting as a member of Thousand Trails is, one of their big sellers is you get 14 days free at a site that they have. So they have different tier sites as well. So you may have the Encore site, you have the regular camping site, and then you have like these resort type places where they rent or buy, or however they work it out, spaces from these other entities, and then those are like Encore, right? Those are like your upgraded spaces. So we had just the basic camping. So you pick a region. So they divide the US up into these different regions. So you have the Southwest region, the Northwest region, Midwest region, Northeast region, Southeast region. So when we started out with the Southwest region because we knew we were going to California and we were going to be in that area. So we just picked that because we were going to be there for the majority of the year. Now, at that time, you can add different regions, and it was like $70 a region, right? So if you knew that you were going to go the lower southern states and you wanted something from Florida to California and all the states in between, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, all those things, then you can get the Southeast and the Southwest region. And you get the first one free, and then, excuse me, the second one for $70. Now it's $90. But what they don't tell you is that when you renew your membership, you start over from scratch. You have the one free region, and so you have to buy those regions all over again if you're planning to be there or if not. Now, the pro to that is, what if your trip now is the Northwest regions, right? Or the Northeast regions? You can get that region for free and then pay the $90 now for the additional region. So you're not stuck with the Southwest, Southeast, if you're not even going that way. So the next year, just know that you're paying $90 for the extra region. Or you can get a different plan that might include more regions within it, because you can go up and get these luxury editions, but you pay, because there's different levels, right? You could do it for where you get 14 days free, and I'm going to tell you about that, or you can get 21 days free. And they also have a thing where you can pick one of the long-term places that do long-term and stay there through the winter months for XYZ dollars from September to April, right? Because after April, season kicks up. They don't do monthlies. They're not doing it where you could be there the whole entire time like that, because they have people that they want to make available to them to stay there as well. Now, some places might continue on throughout the year, but it's not a whole lot of them. So with the 14-day stay, you could pick it, and before you could say if you stayed one place 3 days, you could pick the next place as long as it was in your region for another 3 days and split your 14 days up like that. Now, it's not like that anymore. If you stay 3 nights here, you got to be out for 7 days before you can come back and stay another 14 days. So it's best, and that all depends on who you get on the phone, because you can get one person on the phone that say, oh no, we can't do it, and then you can hang up and call right back and the next person will book it for you. So that is 110% depending on who you get on the phone, how that works for you. This train, my goodness. But the basic information is that 14 days, you have to leave for 7 days, and then you can come back and stay another 14 days. They break it up to where that's the thing. Now you could get a bigger package, which is excuse me. I cleaned up dust everywhere. Now I'm sneezing. Okay, so yes, you can get the 21-day package, and that you get to stay 21 days, and then you have to leave for 7 days. So no matter what, you're leaving for 7 days after your days. A lot of people boondock. Some people, they move on to their next location, or whatever the situation may be. Now, for 1,000 Trails, I consider that a beautiful benefit if you can afford it, right? You can afford it and you can fork up that money up front. It's good, because anytime I've made a reservation, I've always been able to get a space. That is one thing about them. They do have lots of spaces. But with that said, lots of spaces mean you're packed in there like sardines. So you're pretty close to your neighbor, right? Sometimes they are very close, and sometimes you get a little bit of space, but nevertheless, they have a space whenever you want to come visit. They try to make all of the parks resort-ish, so you have a game room, you have pool, the jacuzzi, they usually try to be close to something so you can kind of really experience whatever's around. So that's the good part about that. We stayed in our last 1,000 Trails in Kentucky, right outside of Mammoth Cave, and it was like literally at the gates, and then maybe 5 miles up you were in Mammoth Cave. So that's wonderful, especially if it costs a lot to stay in the area and they have something available, then that's great. Now that's another drawback for them, is that they're not everywhere. So if you got 1,000 Trails and you were going to Tennessee, you only have 2 places you can choose from. And one of them is completely out in the boondocks. There's like absolutely nothing around there you want to see. Nothing. For like the hour and a half you'll drive before you just get to civilization. So that's another drawback. Some of them are just not located next to much. You'll be driving a little bit, and I think what they're trying to do is create the atmosphere of camping and being out and not being like in the city. I get that. But sometimes when you're traveling and you pick an area or you're going somewhere, it's because you want to be kind of close to it. And that's where your KOAs come in, right? KOAs are pretty much everywhere in every state. On next to every highway, you could pretty much find one and throw a rock at it, 2 or 3 of them. They're not like on top of each other, but they are everywhere. So there's more of the KOA than there is of 1,000 Trails. But with 1,000 Trails, you can stay longer under your membership, versus with the KOA, you're paying for every night that you stay. Now we're going to jump over to the KOAs. Now, KOA is very nostalgic because a lot of people remember the KOA from being kids and when it was $12 to camp. It is far from $12 now, right? So you want to think about that. I know in my travels, whenever I am booking stuff, sometimes if I want to be close to something, I just go ahead and pay the money, right? And they're banking on the fact you're just go ahead and pay it because you're close to what it is. So if you want to be at a KOA near the beach or in walking distance of something, and you don't want to keep getting in the car and driving 20-30 minutes to go everywhere you want to go, then you just go ahead on and pay it, and you're doing it for the convenience of the area. Sometimes KOA can get very pricey, and one thing people don't really know is just because a place carries the KOA name does not mean that it's ran by KOA. A lot of the KOAs are franchised, meaning that other people own them, but they are affiliates with the KOA. They're a franchise. Like you can have a McDonald's, but McDonald's Corporation may not own that. It's a franchise. So that's the same thing with a lot of KOAs. They are franchised. So they're mom and pop businesses that run under the umbrella of the KOA. So hence like the campground we're at now, it's a franchise. So when we interview, we're not interviewing with KOA, we're interviewing with the owners or the manager or whoever is in charge of that at that particular KOA. So the prices sometimes vary. I'm sure they probably have like a certain standard pricing that they use, but the prices can vary depending on spaces, depending on the time of year, depending on the holiday, depending on whether it's a weekday or a weekend, you know, depending on if it's off season, if it's cheaper to stay than it is when season is going on. And that's just anywhere and everywhere, right? So they have a 10% that you can get. Now I get a lot of phone calls of people saying, oh, I have good SAMs, I'm a senior citizen. None of that matters because this is the KOA. They have their own discount card where it's a KOA membership and it's 10% off. It's $36 for the year and you renew it every year. You use it at any KOA. It doesn't matter, franchise or corporate place. You use your card, you get your 10% off. After a while, it accrues points that you can use like cash towards your stay. Now, with that being said, if you're military, buying the KOA card, it doesn't make sense because you still get 10% off with your military discount, but you don't get like an additional 10% off with the KOA card. So if you're military, one or the other, either get the card if you want the points and the money and all that stuff that accrues with that, or just use your military card and you get the same 10% off of your reservation. Now, the drawback of that is while you're making the reservation, you don't get the 10%. You pay the whole thing up front. You come in, you present your card, and then they take the 10% off and put it back on your card. So that is one thing keep in mind if you are military and want to use the discount. I don't know why my throat's so scratchy. So that's some of the differences. Now they both usually are in wooded areas or, you know, kind of like a vacation-y type places. You know, they both try to offer you something while you're there. When we worked at the KOA last year, they really didn't have much as far as activities. Like there was no pool and hot tub and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of that was because it stayed so cold there most of the year. People really didn't, you know, use that. They had more of your off-roading trails, golf carting, dirt biking, fishing, stuff like that. Trails that you could take from the KOA. So that was what they offered. They had I've seen more KOAs getting teepees. A lot of them have the camping cabins, which is what we saw in the other live. If you haven't had a chance, you can go check out my live where I did the walkthrough with the KOA. They have the basic camping cabin, which you pretty much need to bring your own linen and everything. They have the deluxe cabins, and they have 2-room cabins. The teepees, this particular KOA does not have teepees, but some of them do, depending on where they're located, right? And then they have the tent camping, which is still a thing, you guys. Oh my goodness. Campsites stay completely full with tent sites. So don't think for a second people are not tent camping. Those spaces are very full. Now, with the 1,000 trails, I have never seen tent camping there. So I am led to believe those are 100% RV places, right? RV places, maybe Vans, if it's a place that is like an encore or they rented spaces, you might see more tent spaces, more van spaces, but not all of them are like that. Some of them are just strictly RVs, and some of them your RV has to be a certain year or better, right? Because they're trying to keep that resort feel. So just a few things to keep in mind when you're looking at it. So if I had to choose one, which one would I choose? Well, to be honest, depending on how much you RV, Thousand Trails has a benefit, right? Because if I live in my RV, which I do, and I'm going to be in a certain area, and I know that on my 7-day jump I can boondock, and I can, I can still live for free in between there. Thousand Trails is a good option because it gives you 14 days with full hookup. A lot of places have cable and internet and all that stuff. Full hookup and showers and all these things for 14 days. I can plan that. And then I can plan to leave and go somewhere else for 7 days and then come back, right? And I'm not spending any money because I've paid for my membership up front when I got it. So I don't have to, in the long run, keep shelling out money every 14 days to pay for the space. So it's really good, expensive, but good if you're a full-time RVer. If you RV during the summer months and you're not living in it, you're just going home, then KOA would be a better choice. And the only reason why I say that is because if you get the KOA card, you get 10% off. You're not spending as much as it's going to take to have the membership over here at Thousand Trails, because you're not going to be using it like that, right? So you pay all these thousands of dollars and then you're only using it 2 months out of the year. It's really not worth it, right? It's just not worth spending the money for and having that, unless you're going to be moving intermittently throughout the year, staying for long periods of time. Then I would go Thousand Trails. But keep in mind that membership only comes with one region. So unless you're moving around in certain states and you're only willing to go where they have a place, and like in I think it's Nevada, they only have one place, and it's in Vegas. So you need to be okay with being in Vegas for your 14 days and then moving to someplace else if you don't want to do that. Some states, they don't have any. Like Utah, there is none in Utah. So there's a lot of benefits to it. A lot of snowbirds buy into Thousand Trails because during the winter months, that is where they're staying the longest and they get the most benefit out of it. So your California, your Florida, your Texas, all those places get a lot of benefit out of the Thousand Trails. And they have a plethora of places in those states, right? Those southern states where they stay a little warmer than north, right? When you're going up north, they have places, but they're not as numerous, and a lot of them are encores where they buy spaces in different campgrounds because they know year round nobody's going to want to be there, right? So they go and they say, hey, Jim Bob, we're going to buy 10 spaces out of your park that we're going to use for encore spaces, and we're going to run those for as long as you run your park for the season. And they still can call those encore, and they try to find, the best of the best in that area campground to say, okay, now this is what they offer, and then kind of sell it that way. With the KOA, a lot of these are year round. Some of them, like here where we are, they're done at the end of October to March, and they're not working because the winters are so harsh. So they're not here. You have a lot of that going on up here, but they're still functioning just like Thousand Trails in the lower months. Yes, it's cheaper to stay at a KOA during the winter months, depending on where they are. But KOA is great if you are going to a specific place and you've been there before and you like it, right? You are only traveling for the summer, and so you are continuing to move. then that membership of $36, you won't miss it, because by the time you've stayed a couple nights, it's paid for itself, right? The other one, you pretty much need to be staying the whole year for that to be beneficial to you, the Thousand Trails. So they both have their own benefits. If I was taking my kids camping for the summer and we were doing a cross country trip, I would probably totally just stick with KOAs and state parks, which are, people sleep on state parks, and I'll do a video on that and how that works another time. But KOAs and state parks is probably what I would choose if I was doing it for the summer or a quick getaway trip, long weekend. But being that I live in my RV, I think that the Thousand Trails is an investment if I know where I am going to spend that year, right? With being a nomad, living in an RV, if you're flexible and you're like, you know what, we spent last summer, winter here, here, and here, I want to be here, here, and here, and you look ahead of time and you look and say, okay, they have adequate enough Thousand Trails in this area, so when our time is up 14 days, we can go here, we can do this, and you can plan it out. Thousand Trails is the direction I would go. But just keep in mind, it is pricey. It is pricey for camping, but the long run it's a booking you don't have to pay for again and again every single time you want to do it. You've already paid for it up front. And they do have a monthly where you can pay monthly on it. But if I've learned anything about RVing, the enjoyment of living like this is no overhead, right? You're not having these continuous bills every single month, unless you have a check coming in, retirement, blah, blah, blah. If you are like me and you're still working age, you need to own everything. So when you work, that's your traveling money. That's how you go. That's how you do things. We still have a truck payment, right? And when we work, we try to pay up the insurance on the house, pay up the insurance on the car, and then we have the truck, and then you got to keep gas and food because there's still an expense, right? So when you're thinking about where you're going to stay, you don't want to add in another expense if you do this full time. So if you can, purchase outright Thousand Trails, and if you're traveling intermittently, KOA is probably the better way to go, and it's established. Now, with that saying, for both of them, Thousand Trails and KOA, all of them are not created equal. Okay? We've been to some Thousand Trails that were like, oh, this is beautiful. You don't even have to leave the park. They had so much to do there. And you get to some and you're like, oh, we'll stay here tonight, but we're leaving tomorrow. I've stayed at some KOAs. Oh, this is beautiful. Love it. It's close to everything. And then, sometimes you walk in the office and the people are dirt nasty. They're just mean. No, we don't do that. Or they close early, or it's not close to anything. And it's not well kept. The bathroom is disgusting. And you're like, yeah, I'm traveling. I'm just here for the night. And you tolerate it. Or you're like, no, this is my vacation. I paid for it. I'm not doing this. You only have a short amount of time that you're off and you want to enjoy it. These are your family memories and you just can't. So just keep that in mind. Not all of them are created equal. There are some Facebook groups, if you're on Facebook, where you can go and join a Thousand Trails camp group that it's people who are members of Thousand Trails that made the group. And you can ask comments like, hey, I'm going to such and such state. Anybody stayed at any of the Thousand Trails there? Can you give me some recommendations? How was your experience? Blah, blah, blah. Now, that just gives you an idea of what it's like. But I'm a firm believer that you need to have your own experience, right? Because my neighbor might love this place and I might hate it for my own personal reasons. And she might love it for her own personal reasons. I can't let my experience be her experience. I don't want to foil somebody's experience, right? But when you can make up your own mind, if they're the 90% of the comments all are saying the same thing, then you might want to rethink it. If you have one or two disgruntled people, we don't know their behavior. They might have got there and been salty, or they might be people that just cannot be pleased. So they were going to have a bad experience no matter what anyway. We want to keep all those things in mind when we're taking in information about different places, but it's just a good source to have. A lot of time people post pictures and they tell you about their experience, and you could be like, oh yeah, that'll work. I'm only there 2 days, I can do that. And you can go there. And so just some ideas is what I'm trying to give you, trying to tell you the difference between the two. I wouldn't say one is better than the other. They're all great in their own right. Thousand Trails is great in its own right. So is KOAs. They're great in their own right. But if we're talking finances, I think the situation dictates that 110%. If you're full-timing, this is the area you hang around. This would be beneficial for you to have. If you're not a full-timer, but you're traveling this way, you're going to be splitting time here. KOA might be a good way. And state parks, okay? I am going to do a video strictly on state parks because of the simple fact is, before I started RVing, I was looking at campgrounds, right? Campgrounds could be private. They could be privately owned. They could be franchised. They could be all these things we're talking about now. I didn't even know that there were state campgrounds that did RVs, right? When I saw state park, I thought day use. You go there for the day, you have a good time, you leave, you go home. I was so naive to the absolute benefit and the wonderfulness of state parks, right? I was becoming a part of all these RV groups, trying to get my feet wet. And I was like, okay, so what do you guys think about this one? And everybody's like, oh, it's pretty pricey, or oh, it's not open, and this and that. Oh, we stayed there and didn't like it. And I was like, oh my goodness, everything's either booked up. And the lady said, what about state parks? And I'm like, what about them? And she was like, they have RV sites. You can go to the state website and go to state parks and put in the information. Boy, that opened up how we traveled our first year significantly, because we would have been paying at least double. Because in New Mexico, we stayed at a bottomless lake. It was $10. Granted, it was no hookup, but the space was so big, it was like we had our own yard. Their full hookup, their hookup, it wasn't full. They had a dumping station, but it was water and electric. $14. I was mind blown when I had been looking for places and they were like $65 a night. I'm like, I am not paying $65 a night to be here one night or 2 nights. That's $120, especially back then. Gas was like almost $5, right? And that was pretty expensive for us because it was our first time out and we were pulling a camper and we were so naive about so many things. Our gas mileage was trash. It was like it is now. 9 miles to the gallon. It seemed like every time we drive an hour and a half, 2 hours, we needed to fill up. Granted, we weren't always going 55, 60, because at first, our goal was to make good time. But you get next to those wise old timers that have been doing this for many years, and they started talking to Cedric, and they were telling him, hey, you get the best gas mileage when you hang around 55, 60. We don't go too fast. We only travel XYZ a day. And that's how, they started sharing with you little shortcuts on how they save, how they move. And you realize, I'm not on vacation. This is my life now. So I don't have to hurry up and get anywhere fast. I could take my time, and when we get there, we get there. And people, if they want to drive 100 miles an hour, let them go around. Our whole life is behind us. Our house, our stuff, everything. And when you get that realization, then you can slow down and not feel like you got to hurry up and get there in a certain amount of time and make great time. You don't have to worry about any of that. So I just wanted to share with you my experience with the difference between the two, KOAs and Thousand Trails. And I'll do my next video will be about my experience with those two, because I've stayed at both of them for a significant amount of times, amount of time, and I can tell you my experience with them and put some links to some of the places we've stayed so you can go and take a look at it for yourself if that's something you're interested in doing. And I can put a link to the Thousand Trails membership information at the bottom of this video, as well as KOA, so you can go and check that out if you don't know about it. If you're a seasonal RVer, you know exactly what I'm saying, and so therefore you don't need to look at that information. But if you're new to RVing, you're trying to excuse me, and you're trying to figure things out, this video would be extremely helpful, because it's some of the stuff people don't tell you, right? They might say, oh, you need to get Thousand Trails. Why? Okay. What if you hate RVing, right? What if you say, I don't like this at all, and you spent thousands on a membership to stay in it, to have it, and in the area you want to be in, they don't even have it. Say you wanted to go to Wyoming for the summer. There is no Thousand Trails in Wyoming, right? At all, but there's KOAs. So that might be a better way to go, right? So it's just things you need to think about when you're doing this. Like, I don't plan our trips to death, and I'll be honest, I do a lot of stuff last minute. But there are some things you need to know about before you spend your money, right? Because of the simple fact is, your money is how you keep going. You pretty much need gas to move the house. There are a few things that you don't skim on, right? Maintenance of your vehicle, because that's how it pulls your house. Maintenance on your house, that's how you keep going and make sure everything runs smoothly. And your finances. You don't have to overplan everything, but you do need to know what you're investing in is worth the investment. And so if you are looking for seasonal travel, KOA might be a better way to go, or state parks, or private campgrounds if that's your thing. But if you are a full-time RVer and you're going to be needing places to be for good periods of time, then I would say Thousand Trails offers that at a cost. But it's a cost that you're not paying every time you need to stay. You've already paid it. So that's my idea. That's what I'm thinking. And I'll do my video next on my experience with KOA and what I've experienced staying there and the difference in them and what it is I do when I'm there and my experience with people there. And I'll also tell you about the Thousand Trails and some of the places I've stayed. And I'll put links to all of them in the bottom of that particular video that will be the next one to come out. So you want to make sure that you are hitting that notification bell as well as that subscription button, so you cannot miss the next video that'll come out. And we'll probably do that over the next couple days or so. I'll get some information together and do that informational video. Meanwhile, I want to thank you guys for watching. You guys are awesome. I've met so many people on my channel that have, on my travels, that have joined the channel. And I just want to say thank you to all of you. I have a few people that I miss so much that I've grown, to love, that have been here at this KOA, that have become subscribers. And I just want to say I miss you guys. I was thinking about you. And I'm hoping that you're enjoying your summer like we are enjoying ours. And I guess until the next video, I'll see you then. Make sure you subscribe. You never know what we might be doing. Tomorrow's our day off, and I want to take advantage of that. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, drop them below. I'll answer as many questions that are there, and any information that I missed that you want to know, put it down there in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.